Welcome to Clash of the Superpowers, Lesson 7, Chapters 20 through 22. Let's consider the key events and ideas in Lesson 7. Pharaoh Necho continued to build the canal. Now, in the novel, I developed the idea that Zedekiah had sent bondservants to Egypt to work on the canal. There is no evidence of this so far as I am aware. However, Zedekiah did refuse Jeremiah's demands that he celebrate the year of Jubilee and release the bondservants. While Daniel in Babylon was not thrown into the lion's den until late in his ministry, I use this event at this point in the story to advance the plot line. There are some key ideas, therefore, to focus on in the story at this point. First, Zedekiah did not follow God's word because it was more important to him to participate in the international plot against Babylon. Second, Daniel stands on God's word and will not bow down to idols. This presents a clear choice to follow or not follow God in spite of the pressure to go along with the crowd. Third, the role of God's word is being hotly debated in America today. Will Christians give in and behave like Zedekiah or stand firm and behave like Daniel? This has been a theme of American history as social movements like the abolitionist, civil rights, and pro-life movements have arisen in America in response to a moral crisis. This chapter's key learning point is as follows. Law or no law, never be afraid to pray. In this lesson, please read the following. First, in the novel The Brotherhood of the Scroll, chapters 20 to 22. In Lesson 7 of Clash of the Superpowers, be sure to review the matching vocabulary, short essay, and timeline of events assessments. Also, research and write the assigned essay. The scriptures to review include Jeremiah chapter 34, verses 8 to 22, Leviticus chapter 25, Daniel chapter 6, and 1 Kings 18, verses 1 to 40. In Lesson 7, we'll see that there's an essay assignment revolving around a couple of Supreme Court cases dealing with moral issues. And finally, be sure to engage in the discussion questions with your students. This video focuses on 4 key issues. First, that Zedekiah put his international alliance with Egypt ahead of following God's will. Second, that Daniel used civil disobedience to stand up for God's word. Third, that the issues Zedekiah and Daniel faced are the same ones facing Christians today, such as issues like abortion and slavery, which are ones that Christians in America have faced in the past and have in fact launched various social movements. Additional items to note in this lesson include the fact that remnants of an ancient west-east canal through the ancient Egyptian cities were discovered by Napoleon Bonaparte's engines in 1799. According to Greek historian Herodotus, Pharaoh Necho began a west-east canal back in around 600 BC, and it is said that about 12,000 men were employed in that effort. Egypt continued working to build an alliance with the small nations in Palestine during the time that they were building the canal. In Jeremiah chapter 27, verse 3, we see that the kings of Edom, Moab, Tyre, Sidon, and Ammon sent messengers to Zedekiah in Jerusalem to convince him to rebel against Babylon. The lion symbolized Babylonian power. This image is from Nebuchadnezzar's throne room. When God saved Daniel in the lion's den, his power over the Babylonians was demonstrated. Daniel stood for God's truth. He set an example for us to follow. The Dred Scott decision in the Supreme Court declared that a slave was not a person. It fueled the abolitionist movement. The Roe v. Wade decision of 1973 before the Supreme Court also launched the pro-life movement. Why was Daniel thrown into the lion's den? Well, because he prayed to God, and that was against the law. But when Daniel emerged, all who had wanted him dead were themselves thrown to the lions. In the culture wars of today, those seeking to destroy Christianity are destroying themselves. Today, we need heroes like Daniel and Elijah. In the Brotherhood of the Scroll, there is a scene where Nebuchadnezzar orders Daniel to be thrown to the lions. His friend Naaman abandons him, and yet all is not lost. This is in the Lesson 7 readings. Discussion questions in the lesson explore the tension between being like everyone else or standing on our faith. The role God's Word will play in our society has never been more hotly debated. Whether it be in one's quiet personal practice, as in the case of Daniel, or in open confrontation with authority, as in the case of Elijah, God calls His people to pray and to give a defense for the hope we have within us. However God has called you to stand for His Word, ask Him for the strength to accomplish all He has commanded you to do. This concludes the lecture. Please be sure to read the assigned materials, discuss the material with your classmates, do the online quizzes, and then write and submit the essay to your instructor.